All the people who bled for her, the clandestine loyalists who spent decades navigating the treacherous back alleys of the British press to finally place a crown upon her head, were unceremoniously excluded from the very coronation they engineered. Their fury is currently incandescent, radiating through the halls of high society, but it is nothing compared to the storm brewing within the immediate family. Prince William and Princess Catherine are no longer merely frustrated. They are reportedly finished with the pretenses. Queen Camilla's sentence is final, and the word echoing through the corridors of Buckingham Palace is a chilling one: goodbye forever. The palace walls have witnessed 1,000 years of power struggles, double crosses, and shocking twists. But nothing in the modern era compares to the seismic shift currently unfolding. Camilla's fate has been sealed by a coalition of forces she once thought she had tamed, and there is no turning back. A final sentence has been handed down from the highest authority, sending shockwaves through the monarchy and leaving the world in a state of absolute disbelief. What led to this dramatic, high-speed downfall? Why is this the end of the road for the woman who fought longer and harder than anyone to be recognized as Charles's equal? Stay tuned, because the truth behind Camilla's shocking departure is about to rewrite the history of the House of Windsor and redefine the future of the royal family forever. In a stunning turn of events that has left seasoned royal correspondents speechless, Queen Camilla's royal title may soon become a relic of a bygone era. The unexpected and sharp nature of this decision has sent tremors through the most elite royal circles, leaving the public to ask one burning question: why now? What could have pushed Camilla to step away from the very title that once seemed like the ultimate prize in her lifelong game of chess? While Buckingham Palace has maintained its customary wall of silence, neither confirming nor denying the whispered rumors, the mere suggestion of such a radical move has ignited an inferno of speculation. King Charles has long been the architect of a streamlined monarchy, a vision of a leaner, more agile institution that better reflects the values of a modern skeptical society. He envisions a throne that is less burdened by the suffocating weight of outdated customs and excessive formalities, one that chooses to adapt rather than perish in the grip of the past. If the reports are true, Camilla's decision is the first major casualty of this vision, marking a deliberate and painful break from tradition in favor of a redefined, perhaps even diminished role. For Camilla, holding the title of queen has never been the fairy tale the public was sold. Since her marriage to Charles in 2005, she has lived in the permanent freezing shadow of comparisons to the late Queen Elizabeth II, whose 70-year reign set a standard of stoicism and duty that was virtually impossible to mirror. Every gesture Camilla made was dissected, every hat scrutinized, and her acceptance by the British public remained a slow, grinding, and often reluctant process. When Queen Elizabeth gave her historic blessing for Camilla to be titled Queen Consort upon Charles's ascension, it was seen as the final seal of legitimacy. But now, with Camilla reportedly retreating from that hard-won status, we have to wonder, was this ever a role she truly desired? Or was it a duty she performed for the man she loved, only to find the weight of the actual crown too heavy to bear? The crown is more than just a piece of jewelry. It is a relentless demand for perfection, a magnet for media vultures, and a sentence of lifelong public service. Perhaps Camilla has finally recognized that the prestige is simply not worth the personal toll. Public reactions to this rumored downfall have been violently divided. To some, this is a bold and commendable act of self-awareness, a woman choosing authenticity over a hollow title dictated by archaic rules. To others, it is a destabilizing disaster, a sign of deep-seated internal uncertainty that threatens to unbalance the entire monarchy during a period of transition. History teaches us that the British crown is no stranger to the art of reinvention. Queen Elizabeth II's coronation in the 1950s was a masterpiece of early media strategy, broadcasting the monarchy's grandeur directly into the living rooms of the nation to save it from irrelevance. Now, decades later, Camilla's rumored exit could symbolize the next great transformation, one that challenges the very idea that royal titles are fixed and eternal. But the most intriguing question remains unanswered. Was this a personal choice made by a tired woman, or was it a surgical strike, orchestrated from within the monarchy's own strategic core to protect the institution's future? The unraveling of Camilla's title is a direct reflection of a deeper, more dangerous rift, one involving Princess Catherine and Princess Anne. What once seemed like a private family disagreement has exploded into a full-blown public spectacle, shattering the carefully maintained image of royal unity that the palace works so hard to project. For the first time in modern history, the internal machinery of the firm has been laid bare, sparking fierce debates about who truly holds the power behind the throne. King Charles now finds himself caught in a psychological vice, torn between his loyalty to the wife who stood by him through his darkest years, and his responsibility to the heirs who represent the monarchy's survival. His leadership is facing an extraordinary test, one that will define his legacy. Does he risk further division by allowing this rift to fester? Or does he intervene with a cold, royal hand to restore order before the damage to the Windsor name becomes permanent? With every passing day, the stakes grow higher, and the pressure on the king to make a decision that could change the course of history becomes unbearable. The sudden loss of the Queen title is not just a personal blow to Camilla. It is the result of an unresolved power struggle that threatens the very stability of the throne. The fallout from this conflict is no longer confined to the secret chambers of the palace. It has spilled into the glaring light of the global media, signaling a fundamental shift in how the royal family operates. Secrets that were once guarded by the threat of treason are now being whispered in the corridors of power, and the consequences of this exposure are far-reaching. What exactly led to this drastic turn of events? Was it a carefully orchestrated coup by forces within the royal household who never accepted her? Or was it the inevitable collapse of a foundation built on years of underlying tension and resentment? One thing is certain: the monarchy will never be the same again, and the power dynamics within the palace are shifting in ways no one expected. Princess Anne has long been known as the most steadfast, iron-willed member of the royal family. She is the embodiment of discipline, a woman fiercely committed to the traditions her mother died protecting. Unlike others who have courted the spotlight or stumbled into scandal, Anne has remained a laser-focused servant of the crown. But in a turn of events that no one saw coming, the Princess Royal has found herself at the center of a firestorm that has left even King Charles reeling. The unexpected confrontation between Anne and Camilla took place at the University of London, where Camilla was set to receive an honorary doctorate in literature. As the Chancellor of the university, it was Anne's formal duty to present the honor. On the surface, the event was a masterclass in royal decorum, polite nods, practiced smiles, and the usual academic pomp. But behind the scenes, a much darker drama was unfolding. Observers at the ceremony noted an unusual vibrating tension between the two women from the moment they arrived. When Camilla gestured for Anne to enter the hall first, Anne hesitated with a cold, calculating look before stepping aside, allowing Camilla to lead. To the casual observer, it was a minor interaction, but to those who know the language of the court, it was a subtle yet devastating declaration of discord. The real shock, however, occurred in the privacy of the reception hall, far from the prying eyes of the cameras. There Anne did the unthinkable. She openly and directly confronted Camilla. Those who witnessed the moment describe Anne's tone as calm, but absolutely unwavering, her words cutting like a surgeon's scalpel. Sources close to the palace suggest that Anne challenged Camilla's very right to the title of queen, questioning her influence and her place in the long-term history of the monarchy. What followed was an explosion of rumors. Within days, reports emerged that King Charles, blindsided by the severity of the confrontation, had made an unprecedented decision. Reports suggest that Camilla will no longer be referred to as Queen Camilla in many official contexts, reverting instead to the more clinical Queen Consort, a distinction that subtly but powerfully reshapes her role and her perceived legitimacy. For many, this sudden reversal is a stunning betrayal. When Charles ascended the throne, he made it a point of personal honor to ensure Camilla was known as Queen. It was seen as the final victory for a couple who had survived decades of adultery scandals and public hatred. But now, with this abrupt change, questions are swirling like a vortex. Did Anne's confrontation force the king's hand? Was this a response to a silent majority of internal palace pressure, or is it a sign of a growing, irreparable fracture between the king's wife and the king's sister? Camilla, ever the master of the long game, has remained publicly unfazed, but her silence only invites more scrutiny. Was this decision made to save the monarchy from a PR disaster? Or is it a quiet admission that Camilla's position has never been as secure as the coronation suggested? One thing is undeniable: the appearance of unity has been destroyed. Anne's rare break from her usual restraint signals that the rot within the royal family may go deeper than any of us realized. To understand the magnitude of what Camilla is losing, we have to look back at the agonizing journey she took to get there. When she married Charles in 2005, she was officially styled as the Duchess of Cornwall. It was a title deeply rooted in tradition, but it was also a strategic retreat. As the wife of the Prince of Wales, she was legally entitled to be the Princess of Wales. But the ghost of Diana was too powerful, the public's love too fierce. Camilla deliberately avoided the title to minimize controversy. The shadow of the people's princess loomed over every year of her marriage, making it impossible for her to step into any role without being measured against a ghost. Her titles eventually extended to the Duchess of Rothesay in Scotland, but these were merely the prelude to the massive shift that occurred with the passing of Prince Philip in 2021 and Queen Elizabeth in 2022. Before Charles became king, there was a fierce decade-long debate about what Camilla would be called. Initially, Clarence House announced she would be known as Princess Consort, a title invented specifically to soothe the public that still blamed her for the collapse of the War of the Waleses. But as she integrated into the family and proved her loyalty, the concept of Princess Consort faded away. By the time of the grand coronation on May 6th, 2023, she had finally achieved the impossible. She was Her Majesty the Queen. It was the culmination of a lifetime of perseverance. But now that title is being stripped away or modified, and the loss is profound. She isn't just losing a name, she is losing the symbol of her acceptance. Being called Queen was her badge of legitimacy. To lose it now is to be told after all the years of service that she is still not quite enough. Beyond the title, she loses the diplomatic authority and the soft power that comes with the rank. As Queen, she stood side by side with Charles as a peer. She had a recognized, respected voice in shaping the modern monarchy. Her presence was no longer secondary. Stepping down to a lesser title means a diminished role in state affairs and fewer opportunities to influence the direction of the royal family. There is also the intangible loss of validation. For years, Camilla fought to earn the respect of the British people, and the coronation was supposed to be the moment that respect was codified. The transition back to a lesser designation marks a significant shift in perception. It is a change in how she is recognized by the world, and perhaps more painfully by her own family. The tension between Camilla and the younger generation, William and Catherine, has reached a breaking point. Sources indicate that William, fiercely protective of his mother's legacy and his wife's rising status, has been a key player in the recalibration of Camilla's role. The people who helped her get the crown are now being pushed to the margins, and the exclusion of her inner circle from key events has created a climate of incandescent rage. Tom Parker Bowles, Camilla's son, is reportedly furious at the perceived disrespect toward his mother. He has watched her endure decades of being the most hated woman in Britain, only to see her victory snatched away just as she reached the summit. But the sentence handed down to her seems to be a collective decision by the power players of the palace, an attempt to ensure that the future of the monarchy belongs to the line of succession, not the consort. Is this the beginning of a more dynamic, forward-thinking royal family? Or is it the start of a slow-motion collapse? By relinquishing the title of Queen Camilla might be making a strategic move to focus on the causes she is most passionate about: domestic abuse, awareness, literacy, and women's rights, without the crushing weight of ceremonial expectations. Freed from the rigid framework of royal obligations, she could channel her influence into these initiatives with greater determination. Some argue that true influence is not measured by titles but by the ability to create meaningful change. This move could be a bold statement of authenticity in an era where the public craves reality over pomp. It could bridge the gap between a 1,000-year-old institution and a modern world that values service over status. However, the departure of Queen Camilla leaves a void that will inevitably place more pressure on William and Catherine. They are being pushed further into the spotlight, expected to carry the weight of a monarchy that is losing its veteran members. As they prepare for their own eventual ascension, the drama surrounding Camilla serves as a cautionary tale. It proves that in the House of Windsor, titles are granted by the grace of the people and the family, and they can be taken away just as quickly. The sentence given to Camilla is a reminder that loyalty to the institution must always come before personal ambition. Whether she accepts her new position with her trademark silent resilience or chooses to fight back from the shadows remains to be seen. One thing is certain: the future of the British monarchy is currently being written in the ink of betrayal and transition. The world is watching as the firm attempts to purge the controversies of the past to make room for a streamlined future. Camilla's sudden loss of status is the most dramatic evidence yet that no one is safe from the king's vision of a modern throne. As the dust settles on the confrontation with Anne and the fury of the Waleses, we are left to wonder who will be the next to face the king's final sentence. The monarchy has survived for centuries by evolving, but this latest evolution feels more like a revolution. It is a moment that could redefine royalty for the 21st century, shifting the focus from inherited prestige to purpose-driven action. Camilla's journey from public pariah to queen and back to an uncertain consort is a story of incredible resilience and adaptability. It is a reminder that power within the monarchy is never solely about the title you hold, but about the influence you wield and the purpose you serve. Her transition raises a haunting question for the future. If the title of Queen is no longer the ultimate goal, what is left of the magic of the monarchy? Is the institution becoming just another corporate entity, focused on impact and branding rather than the mystical authority of the crown? As King Charles leads his family through this storm, the stability of his reign hangs in the balance. Will tradition prevail, or will the sentence handed down to Camilla mark the beginning of the end for the royalty we once knew? The world remains under a spell of intense scrutiny, waiting for the next move in this unprecedented royal drama. Every whisper from the palace is analyzed for clues about the true state of the family. The rift between the sisters-in-law, the iron will of the Princess Royal, and the strategic machinations of the king have created a landscape of total uncertainty. For Camilla, the sentence may be final, but her legacy is still being debated. She was the woman who changed the king, the consort who bridged two eras, and the survivor who outlasted her enemies, only to find herself facing a goodbye forever from the very institution she fought to lead. The curtain is falling on the era of Queen Camilla, and as the world watches the monarchy move into its next chapter, we are forced to confront the reality that even the most powerful women can be brought down by the weight of their own history. The fallout of this decision will ripple through the Commonwealth, affecting how the monarchy is perceived in distant lands. Will they see a family in crisis, or a throne in the midst of a necessary and courageous cleansing? The answer will depend on how William and Catherine handle the increased responsibility, and whether they can provide the stability that has been so violently shaken by this scandal. The final sentence is not just for Camilla. It is a judgment on the entire house. It is a declaration that the old ways of protecting the individual at the expense of the institution are over. In the new world of the Windsors, accountability is the only currency that matters. As the Queen Consort steps back into the shadows, she spent 40 years trying to escape the monarchy, begins its most dangerous gamble yet. What do you think about the shocking sentence handed down to Queen Camilla? Was it a necessary move to protect the future of the royal family? Or is it a cold-hearted betrayal of a woman who gave her life to the crown? The internal disputes of the royal family have never been more visible, and the consequences have never been more permanent. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe the monarchy can survive this level of internal division, or are we witnessing the final days of the royal family as we know it? Don't forget to like and subscribe as we continue to uncover the hidden truths and the explosive secrets behind the palace walls. The story of the Windsors is far from over, and the next chapter promises to be even more shocking than the last. Stay tuned, because in this palace the truth is always more dramatic than the fiction.